Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and just what in the name of your Gizmoric are we playing today? Well, of course, it's Doom! Which Doom, you may ask? Well, this is PSX Doom. Someone did a total conversion for Doom's PSX version for regular Doom. So it has a few, minor differences from the regular Doom, but enough that I think it's worth playing through. And, well, let's face it, what else am I going to play other than Doom? Now, of course, we're playing Brutal Doom V20B, which is the latest version of Brutal-based Doom. Now, this game does not actually have any music, even though I have the PSX music downloaded for this particular thing. But unfortunately it doesn't work, and I'm not entirely sure why. But in all reality, it's not like the PSX version of Doom actually had music like the original Doom had. It was more of a environmental thing. It was an ambient soundtrack, a lot like Doom 64. It's really quite interesting that the PSX and the N64 kind of did the same thing. The Doom 64 was a kind of a Dwake kind of concept. It was a mixture of Doom and Quake, and this is a significantly darker version. I'm not sure why I'm not Oh, I should probably change that. Sometimes in these you have to change if you can. Actually, that's not the right one. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Allow jump and allow crouch. I know, I'm not a purist, how horrid. But yes, they tried to make the games a lot darker and scarier, which I think is kind of a cool concept. I have not played legit Doom on the PSX, but so far it looks pretty good. One thing about the PSX that's fairly interesting, though, is it really had a crap version of Hexen that some people have tried to defend. It just looks like complete crap in comparison to the N64. Now, the old console battle that there was between the N64 and PSX is no longer really valid anymore, since it's easy to get both. But I'm still an N64 man through and through. Because like the N64 had such great first-party titles, and it had a great library in general. It didn't have as many titles as, say, the PSX. It was never as popular as it, but like you got GoldenEye, Turok 2. You had Doom 64, Winback, which I should review one day, which was basically the N64's answer to Metal Gear Solid. I'm trying to think of like the really big titles. There's GoldenEye 007. That's a really big one, although I never got to play it in multiplayer. More skin crawlage, I suppose. And see, these levels are more or less the same as the original Dooms, except they're a little bit smaller. They didn't have to cut out that much, it seems. And really what they have cut out, I don't think is that big of a deal. So they did a good job on that. I'm thinking of also eventually doing Quake 64. But I'm just going to emulate that with the N64 emulator. But there you go, you got Quake 64. I like how with Nintendo, early on, everything was 64. Now, sadly, it is not. Now, one major difference also with PSX Doom is Doom 2 enemies show up. In fact, you use the Doom 2 iWAD to get this to work. And so far, I'm pretty impressed as to what the PSX was able to do. Because Doom back in the day was, well, as popular as it is today. It had to be on every single bloody console. And, well, on just about every console, it turned out to be pretty good. I mean, just look at Doom on SNES. I have defended it before. And I didn't even play that back in the day. I mean, to think that they got it working as good as they did is amazing. Now, you know what's really quite funny, though? The 3DO, which was touted as, like, the super greatest console of ever, and cost, like, $600 dues. I don't know why I've always opened that Switch. I just kind of do by habit. But it cost like $600, when it came out. It couldn't run Doom, not because it was so weak in terms of processing power, but because of extreme mismanagement. The actual programmer did, I think, it was either a live stream or some sort of thing, talking about it. And there was also an article that you can find. Just look up Doom on 3DO. It's quite an interesting thing. It goes to show, basically, the reason why it failed was mainly due to the idiocy behind the 3DO and things of that nature. Like, they wanted... What the hell hurt me? Something... That was pain... Oh, it was an explosion of a barrel, I guess. I didn't see a barrel there. I must be blind. But anyway... But, yeah, the 3DO failed mainly because the management didn't want to give the programmers time enough. Well, I'm really sucking today for some reason. Didn't want to give the programmers time enough to actually work on the game. They wanted it done in like 3 months or something like that. And you can't really make Doom, a port of Doom, in 3 months. And then they didn't have enough people working on the game. So really, it wasn't even the programmer's fault that that happened, you know. And it's crazy that you could have a company be that mismanaged. And there was some other... it's interesting to read, you know, the background on some of these games, and it's kind of crazy just how much mismanagement there is, to the point of almost comical levels. You have to ask, like, how did these companies stay in business as long as they did? Like Virgin Games, which is a popular game company from the 90s, at least I think it was popular. I couldn't really tell you. I imagine it was, because I've seen them, I saw some of their games, but I played some of their games, I should say. But, like, they had, like, a manager who bragged that they never played any video games ever. It's like, well, then why do you own a video game company? I can imagine they bragged about that because, like, gamers, or I don't think gamer was a term back then. Nerds. I don't even play their fucking nerd shit. I would not be surprised if they actually said something along those lines in between being drunk and high. What can I say? Whenever I think of people who don't like games, I just assume they spend all their time drinking. Although, I don't know how inaccurate that is. I mean, like, there are plenty of people that I like in real life that their highest goal in life is to get drunk. Which, I don't know why you'd want to live like that, but hey, to each their own, I guess. But I always hate it when people like that want to judge me, or people like me. It's like, oh, all they do is play video games. All you do is sit around and get drunk and smoke weed. It's like, okay there, dude. Which one's better? And obviously they would think they are, but still though, it's an interesting concept all around. I mean, it goes to show you that if you are that incompetent and really don't respect your audience, you won't be in business for very long. Although a lot of those people did stay in business far longer than they deserved, that's for sure. Kind of like EA and their consistent assholiness. But hey, you know, if it makes the money, I guess it makes the money. Which is always sad. Now, talking about assholiness, now this video is going up who knows when. Actually, I will know when I schedule it, but, yeah, Paramount. You know what's funny? As of today, Britain has chosen to leave the EU, and from what I've done my research on it, it looked like the EU wanted to basically become some sort of European hegemony. And that would not be good. Now, whether or not you guys believe that, conspiracy theory, whatever, I think it's good they left. And clearly the voters did too. And, well, if you want to start banning votes, then good on you. But I hope you join up whatever army that is. Otherwise, you're a hypocrite. But anyway, hypocrites aside, yeah, read about that. And I was like, fuck yeah. People are finally starting to be sane. And then I saw something on Facebook that really made me quite depressed. Like, it legitimately made me depressed. And it literally is nothing of anything close to import like that, but it still made me unhappy. And that was, Paramount has ruined Star Trek. Now, obviously saying something is ruined is like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. No, it legitimately is. Star Trek has a thriving fan work community. They basically make Star Trek even better than the TV shows. And now I don't even know how legal this is. I'm really hoping it gets overturned. Otherwise, I'll never be able to enjoy Star Trek again. And Star Trek's one of my favorite sci-fi series. It's not my single favorite sci-fi series, but it's pretty high up there. Essentially, they have guidelines for fan films. And, like, these guidelines, your fan film can only be 20 minutes long. You can't have, like, custom uniforms. It's all bullshit, really. And I don't know how it's legal. I just don't. I'm hoping it's changed because that... fucking corporate greed, man, you know? I can understand wanting to make money, because I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, everything should be free. I'm one of those people that like, yeah, it makes them make money, but these people aren't making money off of you. In fact, you're making money thanks to these people, because they're keeping fucking Star Trek in the goddamn public light. Anyway, as you can imagine, it pissed me off a great deal. I can't stand stuff like that. I hate to see freedom taken away in any form. And that's literally taking away freedom, and it pisses me off beyond any imagining. Because it's like, can I enjoy Star Trek knowing that Paramount did that? I guess I can, because, you know, it's like... Well, the thing is, like, for me, it's hard for me to not want to not like Star Trek because of that. Because it's just so wrong. Because you got to think about, what about all those people who put all that time and effort into making, you know, those Star Trek sets? Because there's a lot of good Star Trek fan films. And, like, now I don't even want to ever complain about the Star Trek fan works. Because one of the things about the Star Trek fan works is usually it's not as good as it could be, you know? It's like the acting is kind of hokey, but the special effects are always good. Or, like, there was one TOS continuation series where none of the characters look like they're originals, but you know what? They're having fun and doing their best, you know? But now it's like, now they can't do it. Now they can't put in that effort, because the thing is, a lot of those, well, actually all of those Star Trek fan works, they have a lot of heart, you know, and I know that's damning with faint praise. They have a lot of heart, but they're crap. But it's like, they still put a lot of effort into it, an amazing amount of effort, you know, and to no longer be able to have that, it's just, it boggles the mind. It really does. There's some really good fan films too, and fan TV shows and things of that nature. There's one, I think it's called Star Trek New Horizon, where it takes place in the 22nd century, and is, I think, supposed to be like another season of Enterprise. You know, Enterprise is often given a lot of hate. I'm a big fan of it still. Yeah, Enterprise wasn't that good, but it wasn't that bad either. It's just one of those things where, like, well, even TOS had season 3, and no one really, well, people complain about that, but they don't say it's the worst thing ever, though. I think people are too hard on Enterprise in many respects. And it's like, okay, people love TNG. That's considered like the greatest of them all, 111. When in fact, for me, you know, TNG is not my favorite. It is not my favorite Star Trek series anymore. I like Captain Picard, he's cool. He is the coolest of the coolest dudes, but you know, I still prefer Cisco and the DS9 crew a lot more. Because, you know, that was when they started having story arcs. That's when they had, you know, really cool everything. And it had, and TNG, not TNG, but DS9 had my favorite romance of all time, the Worf and Jadzia Dax romance. That actually had some really good chemistry there compared to anything else. And I really, really liked just how cool the character of Jadzia Dax was. She's probably my favorite Star Trek female character of all time. Yeah, when I was a kid, I was a big fan of Counselor Troy, of which any kid from that era is like, oh, Counselor Troy is so amazing. But Counselor Troy's a wimp. Jadzia Dax, man, like, she like fucking would legitimately go hand to hand with fucking Worf, and that is awesome. Any woman who can do that gets a lot of respect in my book. That's one of the things that made Opal really stand out, is that she was a really tough woman indeed. Of course, in my life, most of the women I encounter, well, most of the women in my family are very, very tough indeed. So, I prefer my women to be strong and capable, not merely followers of the weak. But in any event, well, I'm going to get so much hatred for that. It's like, and GeneralLotz doesn't love Paramount, and also thinks that women ought to be strong. But anyway, now I'm really enjoying PSX Doom here. I mean, I can see what, once again, if all you had was a PSX, this would not be a bad Doom experience at all. Now, obviously, it would be a lot different than what we're playing here, because I'm talking about the levels, not the gameplay, because we're, of course, playing it with Brutal Doom, because Brutal Doom is of the awesome. Now, I've been asked on the main channel if I'm ever going to do any of the other gameplay enhancement WODs, and I'm likely not going to... Well, I might do them, but I'm not going to be doing them for a Let's Play, though. Mainly because I don't like them that much. Demon Steel is one that's, like, really popular, and if it's the one I'm thinking of, I think, like, you get a sword and some other kinds of guns. I don't like it. It's just, I don't like the gameplay of it. It's just, I didn't have any fun with that. And, you know, some of the others are not bad, but usually they overcomplicate things. Project Brutality is still my favorite overall because of its complexity, but sometimes it just distracts from the overall Doom gameplay of shoot everything in sight, and it annoys me. So that's why I don't really play too many other gameplay enhancements. Now I might get one of those weapon wads for Brutal Doom, but overall it's going to be pretty much the same thing we got here. We're just going around shooting stuff, talking about controversial topics and things of that nature. Because really, for me, when it comes to... this kind of reaches perfection in some respects, you know, Brutal Doom version 20 and Brutality, to the point where all I really care about are the levels, you know, are the levels good? Because it's just not going to get that much better. Ooh, there's a solid wall there. You can definitely see that there's a lot more, the lighting effects in this game are a lot better than the original Doom, and it's much more moody and atmospheric, and I think that's really cool. Like, really, really cool. I definitely need to play some more PSX games. So not growing up with the PSX, I never really played some of the greats, like Crash Bandicoot, Metal Gear Solid, although I did get Metal Gear Solid before I started doing the YouTubes, but I never really got very far in it, and I'm not a big fan of the old Solidus Snake. I just never could really... I never was good at it, that's the thing. I always died all the time, and it's just... eventually I was like, oh, fuck it, I don't care. Fuck it, I do not care! And that's the thing, it's just... Metal Gear Solid is a pretty... oh, wow, that's kind of limited. It's just... there's the red key, done. And the ghost pinkies there are kind of cool. Obviously they couldn't do, you know, full transparency, which makes sense. But they still look cool. Let's see, where was I? But yeah, Solid Snake, never really got good at that. And I've played more PSX games in recent years, like Crash Bandicoot. And I like Crash Bandicoot, but Crash Bandicoot's really tough, though. To the point where it's not that fun for me. Well, no, let me put a caveat on that. It would not be that much fun for me, not being a pro MLG, if I was not using save states constantly. That's the thing about all those retro games. If I don't have my save states, I will be dying all the goddamn time. And that just... eventually I get pissed off and stop wanting to play it. So, with Crash Bandicoot, though, it's a tough game, but with save states it becomes a lot more fair. And I think it's pretty good. Graphics look great. Gameplay is fun, but there's a lot of things that'll kill you really, really fast, and I really don't like the live system. I've never have. Because there's so many games from the NES, or not the NES, but the SNES era, that I tried to play back in the day, and I would get to a point where I would just die, like, almost at the end of the game, and I'd have to go all the way back to the beginning of the game. And I know that's supposed to increase challenge, and I've either thought about explaining that concept in a video on the main channel, or I already have. I don't remember if I have or not. Old man John can't remember all his game reviews, but yeah, I either have explained or I'm going to explain now. It made sense back then, because you wouldn't be able to get, you know, games as common or as often as you can today. Now the problem is, even back then, I didn't like that. The problem is, even back then, I would have called bullshit on you because I hated that concept, though. And so that's why I never really finished that many games as a kid. Like, I would play these games, I would get to that point where I would die, and then I would, like, not want to play it anymore. This is a story I've related a lot. Like, in AVP on the SNES, I got close to beating it, died, had to go all the way back to the beginning of the game, and I never played it legitimate ever again. There's a Let's Play of that up on the main channel as well, and in that one I actually did finish it using save states. I almost lost all my lives because of bad choices in terms of where I saved. Now see, you know, I don't mind some saving restrictions though. Case in point, AVP 1 had that, so you had to really save in the appropriate areas, otherwise you'd end up fucking yourself. And that was kind of cool, but you didn't have to go back to the very beginning of the game and replay it again. You know, you just had to be strategic. It was tough, but fair. That's what I always say. So long as the game is fair, it can be tough. But if it's not, you know, I don't need to punish myself that much to have fun. And man, we played through E1, M1 I don't know how many times, just in terms of my Let's Plays. It's like there's so many different versions of E1, M1, or E1 in general, I should say. You know, like we played the Doom 3 version, we played the legit version, but we have not played it with legit Doom gameplay, and that's because I have fun with legit Doom gameplay, but I generally prefer my modernization. Okay, that is a lot of pinkies. And they're all gonna just keep running straight into my guns and die instantly. Okay, let's actually change the controls here. I'm actually hunting for controls when in fact it's right there. Because you have to do that manually each time you switch from Project Brutality to Brutal-based Doom. Let's kick him. Let's duke it up! Although, back when I was a kid, just to show you what kind of a nerd I was growing up, in addition to now, whenever somebody would mention put up your dukes, my brain would always immediately go to Duke Nukem. Put up your Duke Nukems. Well, that's gonna take forever. Duke Nukem Forever. I should do that. I might do that. Do a Let's Play of that as well. The Duke Nukem Forever mod. But the problem is, I'm not very good at the Duke Nukem Forever mod though, which is rather humorous. Because, like, there's a lot of really cool gameplay in the Duke Nukem Forever mod. Like, you can get on Duke's motorbike, but either the controls are bad or I'm bad at it. I don't know which. But, like, I just crash all the goddamn time. Like, all the bloody time. I'm really enjoying the layout of these. Like, it's a little simpler, but it eliminates some of the confusing aspects. It kind of tightens it up a little bit. Or that could just be me having played it so much. I don't know. I'm giving high props to PSX Doom. I'm definitely going to consider buying a legit copy of this at some point, just to have it in my collection. I'm not that crazy of a collector when it comes to a game that I like. I need every version of it. But I can definitely say that this is really good. Boom! Love the Brutal Doom grenades. But it is really good. Now we're not running it, you know, with a texture pack or anything like that. We're just the basic gameplay improvements. You know, with the Ultimate Doom visor. Wow, we're taking a shitload of damage. Let us save. We have not saved the entire playthrough. Let us save, and let's grab all that good shit. Now, I think we will not be playing through, like, the entire 3 episodes of Doom. Just E1 here. And then we'll move on to, we'll play a little bit from each of the things that are on here. Well, that are on PSX Doom. PSX Doom came with a fuckload of levels, that's for sure. And goddamn, we got killed by a zombie soldier. Fucking zombie. Anyway, PSX Doom came with a shitload of levels, so I guess if you were a kid, you would definitely have been very, very happy to get that. But we are not going to be doing Doom 64 for a bit until Brutal Doom 64 comes out. Because Sergeant Mark IV is working on that. And I want to play Doom 64 in the absolute best way I possibly can. And yes, I know, how terrible. Ooh, that's kind of cool seeing the Revenant down there. Yeah, see, this is different enough from base Doom that it's something worth playing. I mean, I've been having a grand old time playing through these levels with some of these new enemies. And I do like the lighting. It is very much... the moodiness of the game is really, really good. And it's really cool what they've done with this. And I would highly recommend it to anyone that's... Ooh, I like the red here. It looks kind of creepy. That's the thing about... It's funny, though, that... When the later Doom ports came out and Quake was so popular, that everyone wanted to have a moody game just like that. Doom works in a Quake style, actually. Now, would Quake work in a Doom style? Now that's an interesting concept. Just imagine, instead of having Trent Razor's music, you would instead have music from Sonic Mayhem. Although that, I could approve of that quite a bit, because I like me some Sonic Mayhems. Because I still listen to that even to this day. I have it on my MP3, well, my MP3 player, wow. What is this, 2005? I have it on my phone, but I had it on my MP3 player for years. The old MP3 player. I remember I had my RCA Lyra, as it was called. It was like 40 bucks, and I had a grand total of 256 megabytes. Oh yeah, with an with an expansion slot for an SD card. And I remember quite specifically that I did finally get an expansion of another 256 whole megabytes. A crazy amount of space. And I was happy to have it. It was actually a, believe it or not, Kodak. A Kodak SD card. I wonder what happened to Kodak. I guess they kind of fell by the wayside, sadly. But they were one of the most popular camera companies like of all time. But, oh well. Such is the fortunes of everything business related. This game is very dark. So it's like, it's Doom 3 before Doom 3 made being dark popular. Or it's Doom 3 before being dark was bad in some way. But that was a complaint, I guess. I think that was a retroactive complaint, though. I always say it's gotta be retroactive, because no one complained about it back then. You know, I think people complained about, at least for the Xbox version, how easy it was to bring up the PDA when you're trying to fucking hit the flashlight. God damn, how many times did I bring that thing up? It's like, you gotta bring up the flashlight, PDA, doot doot doot. It's like, god damn it. But hey, you know, everybody's got to complain about something. And Doom 3 is something to complain about. Oh, it's not exactly like this Doom. Ugh. Yeah, well. I enjoyed it back then, and I will continue to enjoy it today. Run away from the fireball. There we go. Alright, and we are already at Phobos Anomaly. I've just been blasted through this. Okay, so they got rid of the pinkies there and just had it be the basic zombie men. Now, they did a really good job with it. This is an amazing job here. Every time I'm just kind of amazed at times playing through this, just how well they did for this. It's absolutely insanely awesome. You know, I would encourage more of that. Of the thing about, you know, ports today is they're more or less the same exact thing as the console equivalents. Oh no, as the PC equivalents. Well, half the time, let's face it, a PC port is a port of a console version. But that's where the money is, I guess. I just can't complain too much about that when you think about it from an economic standpoint. Let's see, with these... Okay, yeah, there are those guys. I was wondering if they replaced them with pinkies. That would have been interesting. We will use our rocket for the first time. I always find it funny, since I play, you know, E1 so many times, I never really get the plasma, because that's always in the later episodes. All you get is a rocket. And we blew him to pieces. Ooh, that's really cool that they added that. That makes it even more hardcore. Now, I wonder, will we keep our weapons when we go through here to the next episode? When we break on through to the other side. Now, this is also kind of cool. It makes it a little more complex. And that's new. This is new. Oh, we grab his assault rifle and... Oh, yeah, okay. We'll actually play a little bit... Actually, you know what? We will call it an episode here. That way it doesn't go on for too long. And so, I am GeneralLotz wishing you good PSX Doom and good Doom 64, or whatever makes you happy.